Welcome to Unfiltered and Into the Deep, and I have Meg today, and it's her birthday. Like, what an honor. I messaged her, we did this like last week, we planned for it today, and I messaged her this morning of like just giving you full permission to say no to today because
Mhm.
birthdays are like interesting. We all have different things. I almost did a big post on my birthday, and when we were just briefly talking there, I was like, I should have shared that because I have struggled with birthdays so differently for so many years. Like it is just so interesting. I've gone through like moments of like, I remember my 25th birthday was a huge party with all my friends. And then went through this space in my 30s where I was like, none of that matters to me anymore. Like I just want to be with my little family. And then I moved closer to my mom and my sister. My mom especially was like, we have to spend the whole day together. And I was like, no, that is not what I want my day to look like. Even though like I love her, but like it was like a busy season of life, my kids were still a little bit younger and I just wanted to be with myself. That was a gift to self. And then this year was like actually a mixture of things. And I do get a little, I don't know how you feel about this, but I'm not on Facebook a ton, but I still have a Facebook account. And so I do like birthday reminders. I wish I could take those off Facebook and put them in my calendar, but I also don't love the random messages from friends, Facebook friends. And I'm like, I have no idea who you are. Why are you sending me a birthday message? And then I'm like, well, it's nice that they're taking the moment out of their day. But I'm like, do you know anything about me? Like, do you, why are like, how did we become Facebook friends? And now you're sending me messages. This is so weird.
I used to get irritated by that too.
Yeah.
And even when you said like it's your birthday, we can do what you need to do today. And I'm like, no, I woke up excited. And I did share that with you like 3 years ago, depressed. My birthday was coming and I felt awful. I didn't want anything to do with it. When people ask me, what do you want to do? How do we celebrate you? And I think because I've had such a bumpy past with my birthday, my family doesn't even know how to approach me. They're just like, is it a good time this year or is this going to be bad?
So true.
And
So
and
true.
I get so upset so easily. And I think it hit on the wound of being seen
Hmm.
because then some people will be like, here's this gift. It made me think of you. And I look at it and I'm like, I, I don't even like this. How does it, I don't, and then shame because I'm
Yep.
like, well, now I'm just being rude because someone thought of me. I'm not sure why this makes them think of me, but they did think of me and they gifted me something. And even with my family, they'll just sometimes say, "Can you just please tell me what you want?" So like I shared that with you this morning. Like, no, I'm celebrating. I woke up excited. I was ready for the day. Yesterday at work, I told everybody, "Oh, it's my birthday and I'm doing this and I'm doing like."
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. This year's landing differently, but I think it speaks to inner healing, growth,
Yeah.
because some of those I think were just attached to identities or even like, can I be seen? Can I be held?
Yeah. Can I receive this love? Because it
Yeah.
feels like a spotlight. I went through that for a couple of years of like forcing myself to sit and receive the love. And I think that's why the Facebook messages felt so uncomfortable from some people because it was like, you
Yeah.
don't love me. So I don't know how to receive that. Like I do just like go thank you. Actually, I didn't go back to any, that's a lie. I didn't go back to any Facebook messages this year. I haven't been super active on there. But I should because which should just says no. So that's a
Yeah.
statement itself. Yeah, just trying to be present with it and really trying to because I think too we've shifted in this like and I don't mean to sound 80 in like this social media age and we've gone to, all of these things but there is a presence that I want to have with it and that I feel like I really shifted into these last couple of years of like I'd be like, oh, we don't need to talk about it, or oh, we don't need to do anything, or oh, like all of these different, and like, can I actually lean into what I really want and be okay with that and not make it bad in any way or wrong in any way? Because usually how I want to do things is really different than how a lot of people would do things.
Same. And I think that's some of the confusion around my loved ones.
Yeah,
And my mom, bless her little heart,
yeah, yeah,
sometimes she would get me stuff in, like, even a friend at work the other day, she's like, "Oh, Meg, you're going to understand this. It's kind of weird." And I'm like, "What?" I couldn't even hear what she was saying to me because I'm like, I'm stuck on the weird part. And so my mom's like, this is quirky and you're quirky, or this is because I think I've always been non traditional.
yes,
So people who are super traditional and really stuck in their programs,
yeah,
if you will,
yeah,
that honestly don't know how to respond to me sometimes. And I've
100%.
just come to a place where I'm okay with it, and I'm actually comfortable asking for what I want.
Yeah.
Like, my mom's like, "Can I treat you to lunch?" I'm like, "Not lunch. I have plans between the head spa and a podcast, but I'm down for breakfast."
Yes, which is like it really is kind of difficult to do. Like we're laughing about this but I really would encourage people to look at this in different ways, not even necessarily with your birthday. I went through another layer level of this at Christmas again this year where
Mhm.
I shifted a lot of I'm going to say not abandoning self, but it was really uncomfortable. There was a lot of change that happened with this Christmas. And because I've noticed that since my kids are getting even older, so my youngest is 11, 14, and 18, they have taken on some values through family that are, some of them are beautiful values, but some of them are shoulds. And I just have such a hard time with following tradition out of a loyalty sense rather than like this actually fits and this actually feels good. And so sometimes family members will push back at me a little bit of it makes them really uncomfortable because it's like, well, we've always done it this way Christmas Eve. And I'm like, cool, you continue. I'm not stopping you, but I'm not going to do that this year.
Mhm.
And instead of like, and I think this is also from like a wounded space where we come from sometimes because in years past, if I have done that, I would have like tried to rationalize or justify what I was doing was
Why?
right.
Yeah.
And this year it was like just like I was able to be a little bit quieter about it, of just like, well, this is what we're doing. This is what I'm doing.
Mhm.
This feels really good to me for us because my family dynamic is shifting and you have older kids. Like I'm sure you have a little bit of that too, where I have a ton of nieces and nephews that are all under the age of 9. One that's 10, I guess, maybe now. And so there's a lot of their life looks very different than our life on a regular basis, right?
Yes.
I have compassion for it. I have understanding of it. There's even excitement and beauty in that for sure of that. But like my kids are older. Like I want new traditions with them that we can continue on. Doesn't mean I love you less.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
And same
first
with the birthday gifts. That's where that comes in for me of like, I hate buying a birthday gift out of obligation. That obligation energy was a huge thing that I worked through a lot in December of like, am I doing this because I feel obligated? Because that's not a good energy, Jen.
Yeah, and that's what Christmas feels like
Hmm.
for all of us. And my kids, I think, because I've been exploring that for years
Yeah.
now, their Christmas list, if you will,
Yeah.
sometimes is like socks. And
Hmm.
then I'm hearing other people talk about it. And I even went through the, wow, if I strip them down so much that they can't even ask for anything more than socks, or are they actually just holding those values and then asking for socks? And then it challenged my own belief
Yes.
system. And
Yes.
then, because I'm like, oh, you're clashing that internal conflict with shoulds and family traditions. And so
So
now
much.
we do experiences.
Love
So
it.
my kids came to me and said, for your birthday, it's a Monday, can we do Saturday and can we go cross country skiing? I know you wanted to do it last year, but the way the weather and the times we had off, this is snowing right now. It's going to snow more. Can we do that? And I'm like, yes, that's beautiful. That's,
So beautiful.
so
Yep.
beautiful. I'd
Agreed.
rather that. So
And
I think we came so far together as a family, right?
yes, yes,
Mhm.
I think it's so beautiful. We did so Valentine's Day, my husband and I treated a little bit differently in that, like, I'm like, please don't get me flowers or chocolates. And if somebody gets that from their husband and that lights them up, freaking awesome. Love that for you. It just wasn't like, it felt like a should, like he was doing it out of
Mhm.
obligation. And it was like, and he will do that randomly throughout the year anyways. Like, so please don't
Yeah.
just do it there. And so, we try to do something a little bit different or intentional or whatever. But our kids, I've always gotten them like something small. And then we went through like such a health time where it was like zero anything that wasn't perfect for our bodies and we were so OCD about it. So then I kind of swung far the other way of like, oh, I will just get you chocolates and cinnamon hearts and all of these things for Valentine's Day, whatever. So
Yeah.
many years of processing around these things. And so this year we actually went to a family concert and I wrote, thanks to ChatGPT, helped me write a poem around like different songs that were going to be at this concert. And that's where the experience comes in. And I will have that memory of us going to this
So
concert and
great.
having this great time rather than like all of the kind of shit I would have bought for them, little things, which there's fun in that too. I'm not like down
Yeah.
that for certain seasons and stuff. That's fine. But as my kids get older, I'm like, I want these experiences with them.
Yeah.
This is the best. Who knows how long they're gonna like be willing to do this? Or like my oldest could move away. He,
Yeah.
there's a very good chance of that.
Yeah.
And we
So
won't know
many
these little things.
parallels. So many
Go.
parallels.
Yes, I love that we had that whole conversation completely unplanned. So you're
Yeah.
welcome to whoever needed to hear that. It obviously needed to come out for you. Big love. Please let us know if that landed for you. We love it. Okay, but earlier this morning, Meg sent me a reel around, we'll just call it what he called it, shadow work and being a
Mhm.
shadow. Is that what he called it?
Shadow Walker, I want to
Shadow
say.
walker, which we started watching Game of Thrones again. Oh, so gory, but like there's so many parts of it that I am just so fascinated by the psychology of all the things. And generationally, it's very interesting to me. And I have to close my eyes every episode for multiple times of things that I don't agree with being on into my brain for sure.
Right.
But it made me think of Night Walkers for anybody that has watched Game of Thrones, and that's very dark at first. But then I was like, no, when I listened to that reel, about shadow walkers, I was just like, oh my gosh, thank you for sending me this because I resonate with this so deeply. And I'll let you explain it in a moment. But I have said for years, I am really good at Dark Nights of the Soul. You come to me in a dark night of the soul, I am right there to meet you. I love it. I get excited for it. I am like into it. I've had clients in the past be like, you're a little too excited about this. And I'm like, oh no, there is such depth and goodness that comes from
Yeah.
the depth of those dark nights of the soul. And so, how would you explain what he was talking about, or just like whatever resonated for you, even?
Oh, it's like, where do I start? I sent it to you because it unlocked something for me.
Yeah.
It freed me. It allowed expansion. So I would, like you, revel in this depth, which is actually dark, the
Yeah.
shadow work, the things that people try to hide and shove down and cut off. And I can stay there for such a long time. And I think like people would even say like should you move on or too deep, or are you staying stuck? And I'm like, no, I am processing and integrating a way that I come out with so much profound growth.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know how to do this any other way. Like, I don't know how to work not having the depth. So when he was talking about light workers, so I would always say, I'm a light worker
Mhm.
and I know I'm here to heal. I know I was uh, gifted the task of breaking some generational stuff. And I would frame it as a light worker. And light workers come in with these high vibrations and just like spread that high light vibration amongst everything, everyone. We bring people up, right?
Mhm.
And like I said to you, there's so many times, even in my little spiritual groups or with people like you, where I share this really deep, energetic, spiritually aligned stuff. And I'd say, "Oh, I'm equally comfortable in the dark. Like I'm comfortable in the dark." And I could feel people like lean back. Even some of my close loves that I would share this with kind of lean back like, "Okay." That hesitation, and I'd always have to like preface it with like, I'm not dancing naked with the devil. Like I'm not hexing people. Like I'm saying that that low vibration stuff has value.
Yep.
And when you do the shadow work, you absorb it. So when he was talking about shadow walkers can stay longer than a light worker in certain areas, and they use their body to integrate and transmute. So it's that absorption and then the alchemy, then the magic of then shining out brighter. I was like, oh, yes, I finally get like someone's finally verbalized it in a way that I'm like, see, it's not scary.
Yes.
But we're taught to fear the dark. Like, even I shared this with one other person this morning,
Yeah.
and she's like full body chills, all other like all the emotions. And she's like, if you think about it, scary movies, horror movies are in the dark.
Yep.
You turn off the lights and people are like, oh my God, I'm afraid of the dark. Put a nightlight on.
Yep.
And I realized like, no, the dark is an absent of light, and all of life is held in this duality. We
Yes.
can't have one without the other. So I was trying to frame myself as a light worker and walk into a hospital, talk about being in the dark.
No doubt.
And I would bubble and, do these intentions and prayers, and I'm going to be this high vibration. And I'd even set the vibration level like I want 144,000, and I want this, and I would picture the color and picture. And I didn't, it took me a long time, like a couple years, to realize I came out after doing all that and bubbling and clearing and bubble and clear. And I had alarms on my phone, bubble and clear, because it was
Yep.
just a lot. I couldn't maintain this like vibration and light because it
Yes.
wasn't meant for me to hold that way. So I was trying to conform into what I thought I
It
was
should
or
be.
I should be, right?
Yes. I
Right.
love this. This is the best
And,
conversation.
and then I would come out so much pain. And I thought, this job isn't for me. It's killing me. And then I took time, learned so many identity deaths, so much growth. And then I realized I was at my osteopath appointment.
Okay.
He's like, you got to be a screen door. You got to let it go through. And with you, like we've talked about and we've practiced, like I think it was in the summer where I'm like, oh my God, Jen, I think I actually use my own personal body to transmute energies for these other people. And
Yes.
it's getting caught in me and it's getting stuck because I'm shaking it out and I'm seeing someone having an episode or yelling or their anger, and I'm feeling it suddenly flow through me. And it was very confusing at first. So
Mhm.
when he explained it, I was like, yes,
Yeah.
yes. So I'm conforming, I'm confining, I'm actually shrinking and constricting myself by saying I'm a light worker.
Yep.
And being a shadow worker or a shadow walker, like that just took that identity right off me, opened me up. That was that heart expansion. Oh, I got a thumb.
Yes. For anybody that knows me, they know that like universe comes through in like their little symbols or emojis or whatever on Zoom, and she just got one, and I have been staying the same way.
Yeah, you didn't even move.
I didn't move.
Oh. And I just like, yeah, so I became, that's why I was so excited and I shared it. I'm like, whoa, that freed me. I'm like, no wonder why it was so painful to do certain things. And I'm showing up in these shoulds. I'm a light worker. I should be doing this. And really, I was even afraid to speak the truth when people talk about working in the light, working in the dark. And I studied shamanism and I use it for my own transformation with different things. And I'm like, you have to go into different realms and different worlds. Like, I'm super comfortable there. And I find people that I found my niece there once. I woke up out of a dead sleep. I saw her in my dream, trapped in the middle realm, and she was starting to have a night terror. And we're at the camp, so we're in like a cabin. And
Yep.
I came, went to her, grabbed her, taught her in the moment how to, let's call in an angel. And I could see what, these energies, entities, thoughts, feelings, beliefs, whatever, however you want to frame it, was doing to her. And I laid with her and guided her. And my sister is like, oh my God, thank you. Like she hasn't been able to get there. But I was like, here I am, apparently just walking around in the dark, having a good old time. And I'm like, that's my little love. She was like stuck in terror. And I
Frozen.
could see,
Yeah.
these things teasing her and teach her how to transmute that and come out of it. And she was able to go away at a sleepover camp in Muskokas with brownies, the little
Yeah.
girl guides. And she texted me and she's like, thank you so much, Aunt Megan, for showing me how to, handle this. And because they even said, like, even pray to an angel and pull yourself up to the Crystal Palace and pull, like,
Yeah.
anyways, it was
So
so
beautiful.
he just his word. And this man, this real, I don't even know who this person is. I've never seen him on my feed before.
Doesn't
I
matter.
don't even know how. I went on Facebook. Like, I use Facebook for my family, like
Yeah.
my aunts and my, and I saw like the message from my mom, so I'm checking on that. Then I'm into a reel because you know how you autopilot through stuff.
Yep. I do. That's why I have my alarms right now, and it's so fascinating. It's been such a good experiment for self. I am enjoying it so
So,
thoroughly.
right? And I was just like, who is this guy? And as soon as his voice just caught my attention,
Yeah.
and he started talking about the shadow walker, and I just resonated so deeply.
Yeah.
And it just freed me because I used to have issues where I would shame myself and go into, am I staying in this spot that's obviously not good for me too long at a self sabotage? Am I punishing myself? Am I in fear? And well, even in his little brief, like, what is the real two
Yeah.
minutes?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God, I'm trying to act like a shadow or a light worker,
Lightworker.
sorry. And then I'm beating myself up because I'm staying too long in this spot. But really, you need the length of time
Yep.
to be in the dark, to hold it, to like bring it in, understand, feel. You just like nurture it and it transforms into a love.
Yeah.
And for me, it's such a great love. Like it's so big, it's so deep.
It is, and it's so light. See how this resonates for you, because this is how I've seen it the last few years of, yes, 10 years ago, 8 years ago, whenever, that I was learning to bubble up my energy and I should put on like a cloak or put on the bubble or whatever to protect myself from it. I think that did serve me for a time for sure, because I think I was like a sponge to other people's emotions and all of that. But then there kind of comes a point, and I was sharing this with a couple of family members that are into this type of work too, where they were saying that to me, and I was like, yeah, I don't actually resonate with that anymore, because
No.
I think there is like a falseness with that when you've gone through it. So like I think there was value for that for me in the beginning, and it's kind of like an entry level piece when you're learning about energies and stuff. But then when you get deeper into it, it was fake to try to do this bubble to me. And so then I think personally what was happening for me is that some of these darker energies, frequencies, lower frequencies, I'll call them. Some of the lower frequencies would come in, but because I had created this bubble around me, it wasn't passing through, like how you were saying of this screen door.
Yeah.
So it was actually getting stuck within me, which I was already at the point without being able to human articulate it that I could transmute it through. But so when I was taking the time then to bubble up in whatever verbiage you want to use, then I was actually holding on to those energies for so long, those frequencies for so long, that that was draining my energy. And so I was like thinking then I needed to be of this higher frequency and like think of the love and the light and wrap it in pure white and all of these positive things. That is never going to be who I like. We are not love and light all the time. We just are not. We are human beings. It's like, yes, do I think there's more ease available for us? Yes. But I think some of these lower frequencies have to be felt to their entirety for them to pass through us, for them to actually be released. Like I look at it like a really sticky residue that just will not let go
Mm.
until we stop abandoning it, until we start making it not mean something bad or wrong about us. I was even going to like I've been doing this practice lately. I'm reading the book Conversations with God. Have you ever books
No.
I deep text for sure, not God in any religious sense. It's more of like the God within you. So it's really fascinating. It's been in and out of my realm for years, and I've finally decided like, okay, I'm going to do it. And I left them out. And my husband doesn't really read deep spiritual text at this time, season for him, but he started reading them, and now he's read them. He's a faster reader, but I'm very like, if I read like something that grabs me, then like I gotta sit with that for like an hour at least and like really get to the depths of it. For me, I'm not good at perusing.
But even so, even that, the way we are
Yeah.
as a shadow walker,
Yes.
when I'm sitting with a text, I'm absorbing it.
Yes.
And it does take me so much longer, but I can come through the other side and actually fully integrated
Yes.
and learned and now carry that wisdom. And I'm not
Exactly.
saying that other people that read quickly and peruse don't have the wisdom. It's
It's different.
it's different. Like I'm living it now.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's a full integration piece because you or I could read one chapter, one paragraph, small paragraph from
Mhm.
something that really like hits to our core. And we're like,
Mhm.
oh, okay. And like sit with that and like really integrate that into our day to day. That is a total different frequency than if we just peruse through that. We could read that book 5 times, right? And it comes back to me like that physical masculine feminine energy, which is like where I'm so pumped about synergy right now, because there's a different level of being I think that comes from doing that instead of the actual doing of the reading. So again, I feel like there's just layers of complexity within some of these things, and so somebody can read a book 20 times, but I can read one paragraph and take so much more out of there, or you can, or they can, like anybody can.
Yeah.
That's the piece of like that deep, and I think it's just a deep soul remembering. So like that's what I've been doing more of this writing, and I was writing this morning, and I hadn't. Today's the 23rd. It was the 19th the last time I did writing, and I was like, oh, I've been avoiding resisting coming to talk to you. Like this is how I talk to my notes right now when I'm typing. And it's interesting because I realized it was good girl behavior on a new level. I was telling myself I was doing something wrong or bad at a different level because I hadn't physically wrote for 4 days. And I had promised myself that I would sit and write for these 10 days that I was doing it for. And I was
Yes.
like, oh, fascinating. Okay, new level unlocked there for self of like, I'm still doing this, even though I have been
Yeah.
talking about being and doing for 6 years at least. Masculine,
Yeah.
feminine energy, like, yes, I felt like I really understood that, but I was like, oh shit, I did transfer that even to here, even in like the smallest of bits, it will still continue. And I think that's part of the beauty of like the human slash soul self of like just deepening into that for sure. And it ties in with that shadow self because that is the shadow self. That's the shadow walker of saying that anything that we're doing is wrong.
Yes.
Thing is wrong.
Yes.
Nothing. You feel like shit? Okay, you feel like shit.
Yes.
Can you be okay feeling like shit?
Yes. Can you just let it be? Can
Yes.
we just, and even if you think of, I think it's a holistic psychologist that's really pumped out shadow work, like
Okay.
on social
Like
media. And
Nicole LaPera.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. I had forgotten her name. She even says, like, shadow work is not about taking something that's unacceptable and making it acceptable.
Yeah.
Like, you actually have to sit with it and accept it, love it, pull it into you because it is part of you. And you might not ever change that bit of you,
Yeah.
but you no longer are forcing yourself to try to change that bit.
Yes.
And I think that was the freedom of what he was saying, because like even with my, like I said, my friends, if I'm like, well, I'm just as comfortable in the dark, and everyone in the room's like, oh God. Like I could just,
That's because you were burned at the stake. Like,
they're all like, whoa. Please don't talk about that again.
yes. Yes. But also there's a part of them that is like, yes, please bring that conversation in.
And the depth just scares people. And
Yeah.
this morning I'm like, how do we talk about this? How do we make it? It's not scary to me. And I don't want to, I guess I don't want to put my values or my, force someone to say, oh, it's not scary. Like there's a whole process to work through things. But
Yeah.
I just feel like we have a misconception on what it actually is and what
Yeah.
it can do for you.
I resonate so deeply with that. I look at it as if I can make the uncomfortable bits of me comfortable, not good, not right, not change them, not fix them, not
Yeah.
rewrite, all of those things, but actually be comfortable with things that are uncomfortable.
Yeah.
That shows up in so many areas of life, right? Like between money, relationships, health, body image. Like there's so many different layers to that. And I think, like that's like a process. It's not like you hear something once around that and then you're like, okay, I've done the work. And I think that's also a shadow self of like, well, I've done this. I remember going through that, and I was just writing my training for the live module on synergy that I'm doing this week. And I was like thinking about how when I had my big like 100K month, and then I had like 40 and then 55, and then a few months later I had another month that was 42,000 in sales and it was 27 cash. And I remember being so ashamed. Meg, I've probably shared this with you because it was such a huge life aha moment. Not in that month, but like months later where I was like, holy jeepers. So like I had thought I cracked the code on money completely and beliefs and generational lineage around it. And I had done all this work. And so here I've done it. And so I'm never going to be attached to what that money looks like again. But that whole next year, I thought it would be my $1 million year for sure because I had cracked the code. No big deal. You do 100K in a month. That's $1 million year. That's well over a million. And so when
Mhm.
I wasn't hitting that goal, quote unquote, it was like, huh, this is really freaking uncomfortable. And then it was like, I can't even say this out loud because that's ridiculous to say that a $42,000 month is a bad month. That was a bad month in my business. Like, at least I had evolved that far to recognize that that was ridiculous. But how fascinating that I had set this new peak bar around this really big dollar amount. And so then I thought I had worked through it. So I will never work through anything to do with money ever again. Done. Close the book. That's like saying inner child work, right? Like, okay, healed her. She's good. She's never gonna come through again. We're good. Like it's just ever gonna be there. And that's what I think a shadow walker is really being comfortable with that premise that like there's always going to be work, but it doesn't feel so heavy. Like I feel like I say that so many times of like
Mhm.
you keep doing the work, but it doesn't feel like it's pulling at you like a night worker is going to kill you in your sleep or something like that. Like
Yeah, it doesn't feel like work.
no, it's just
It
like
doesn't feel like
interesting.
work. So my first dark night of the soul
Yeah.
would have been, oh my God, 16 years ago.
Mm.
Left. My family has had intuitive things, understanding spiritual realms differently, slight church influence, so
Yep.
I we choose our families wisely, right? So I viewed a lot of this stuff so differently, but knew about intuition and knew about the spiritual realms. And like you could speak to other things,
Mm.
pull in, talk to angels, talk to God, talk to, what have you. So I had this huge dark night of the soul moment, left a marriage, moved back to, because I was out in Alberta, moved back to
Yeah.
Ontario, totally changed my life, had no clue what I was doing, how I was going to get there, but so confident I needed to do this, or I felt like I would die. And that's the soul sucking bit. It was like my soul felt like it was dying. And then fast forward to even this summer where perimenopause was hitting hard and I felt like it was a new transition, a new becoming,
Yep.
initiation, if you
Yep.
will. And I hit a snag where I felt like this is a wicked dark night of the soul. And I was looking back and I'm like, how many have I had? I thought there was only one. Why is this so hard? Why am I going through all these things? And like I shared with you, so many identity deaths, and some like took a second.
Yep.
Just like even this morning, where I was like, whew, that one's off me and I am running, right?
Yes. Yes.
And some were so, oh, just like the body work that needed to happen with it. They were just so intense. And yet I never felt that I couldn't manage it. And I knew that there was such a big pot of gold on the other side
Yes.
that I just kept flowing with it. And it just comes like easier and easier. And
Oh,
yeah, it's so funny, right?
it
How
is.
the
It's so
things we
fascinating.
believe. Yeah.
Yes. And this is a really heavy, and I apologize if this activates anybody. And if you need support, like probably drop into my DMs here and we can talk this through for a moment. But
You just gotta, you just gotta,
ooh, okay, let me just sit and ground with this for a second.
yeah.
The just gotta was a thumbs down from the universe. for anybody that didn't see the video of
Yeah.
this on a podcast.
Yeah. Jen wasn't even looking at the screen.
All
Her
right,
head.
I'm not going to share it publicly then. Fascinating.
Yeah. I was like, oh,
It's
oh, sorry.
it's a heavy, heavy topic for sure. All right,
Mm.
moving on.
Rolling with flow here.
We are all in the flow here. I One of the reasons that we actually booked this podcast for today, even though we have talked nothing of it, was because we wanted to talk a little bit around, I don't even know what we called it. I called it um systems that are in like the human world that really start to feel heavy. I think it's paradigm shifts within us. So like I do think, there's a different level that we start to see things at. And so then we see a lot of unfairness and unjustness in the world. And that can be a really heavy time for our human self. Our soul self is okay, but it's, like I went through a lot of this when my husband got sick and the like Western medicine couldn't help him in any way. And we were at specialist after specialist and testing, and like his eyesight was going, his bladder was going, he couldn't go 20 minutes without going to the washroom. Like it was a really scary time. And then we were introduced to a naturopath, and it was like a last resort, just to give some context to this. And that ended up helping him a lot, and nobody else had any other answers. Literally our like general practitioner was like, I don't think you're going to make your son's graduation. I think you this is just going to take over your body, even though we don't know what is happening, because it was affecting so many different areas and nobody had answers. So to hear at, I believe he was 30, 29, 30, that he wasn't probably going to live then past the next 10 years at most was horrible. And I leaned into, you're a doctor, you fix it. That's what it is, right? And so this naturopath came up, and now I look back and I'm like, oh, what beautiful divine timing that was. But I didn't have that type of language back then. And we tried it on a whim. We went to this naturopath on a whim, and everything he was saying was making sense. And so we leaned so heavily into this, and we started to learn different parts of the body and more holistic and nutrition and all of those things. And it was just like really fascinating, but it was really scary and really hard, because then I started to look at pharmaceuticals as like, wow, like you're really, there's not great things out there around that. Like you really want people to be
Yeah.
sick. And that was really heavy time for me because I was really frustrated with the systems. And so like I went through a lot of healing through that time, and then kind of on again, off again. And then, 2020 hit. And we were probably like 5 years into our journey at that point. And I remember saying to Blake, because he was getting so frustrated by some people and the way they were looking at things. And I said to him, we've got 5 years of this work under our belt. I
Yeah.
can't imagine how terrified people feel right now, because we have been told that we don't know how to deal with our body. We have, like we have to go to the doctor and get medicine to be able to heal our body in any capacity. We have 5 years of learning about holistic nutrition. Like I had definitely dove into Louise Hayes, like heal your body, heal your life, those types of things. And I had been doing that for years. So it wasn't nearly as scary for me at that time, because I felt like we were pretty healthy going into that. But had I not had 5 years under my belt of that, I probably would have been in a very different space. And so then there was a lot of healing. So then 2021 happens, and then they like shut down everything in Alberta, and like I'm not allowed to watch my son do jujitsu, and I'm not allowed to do this, and I'm not allowed to do that. But like we were just talking about this last night because my daughter was watching a documentary on hockey during the COVID season, and oh, it broke my heart. There was a player on there that said he was missing his daughter's birthday because he was under quarantine because he had been in the States the week before. And I'm like, oh, we look back at these and like he's never gonna get that third birthday back. And the girl's crying on the FaceTime. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so sad. But we were talking about like some of the interesting pieces of like, it's okay if you sit down and take your mask off. But if you stand up next to the table, you must have your mask. Like just some of those little pieces that were so interesting and not quite logical,
Oh,
you
it
know?
was so hard. And systems. I think actually I'm realizing how this connects to the shadow walker.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Bring it in. Bring it in.
So I'm a nurse.
Yep.
I still work within the system.
Mm-hmm.
When I had time off in the summer, I needed it. I was at another, like I said, dark night of the soul, hitting
Yep.
perimenopause, desperate with symptoms, not being heard in the
Yep.
medical community, even though I'm a nurse, even I would even print off research to give to my doctor.
Yep.
And how he responded, or his residents. I had a female resident who was 20, I'm going to say like my child's age, laugh and say, "Oh, no, we don't treat perimenopause." And I'm like, "Oh, sister, you have some hurt coming your way." And I am not trying to like
No.
curse that on you, you know what I mean? But you better wake up.
Yep.
So I moved within healthcare slightly jaded when
Yep.
I shouldn't have been right from a brand new nurse.
Yep.
I heard what they were saying.
Yep.
I was so attracted to Eastern medicine as a child. My dad bought me textbooks. Like I studied Eastern medicine as
Cool.
a child,
Yeah.
but didn't know
Love
how
it.
to like you know, and trying to teach my parent. Could you imagine a little 10-year-old like, we should have this tea, you know? I couldn't figure out how to pull it all together and I couldn't, you know, and it's fine. It's all been part of the journey.
Yeah.
So I'm walking around very clear in my vision.
Yeah.
So I'm hearing what they're saying. They try to be holistic, but they don't really bridge well. And we have an energetic body, as we know. Spirituality is a thing that needs to be included in every aspect of care. And it's kind of siloed out.
Yeah.
So I was hitting moral distress right,
Oh,
left, and
I
center.
can't even imagine what that time looked like for you at all.
Oh, I was simmering in anger.
Mm-hmm.
I was angry at colleagues because now we were like there's a lot of people like we had to prove vaccinations, we had to do these different things, we had to, you know, there's certain processes for outbreaks. I was dumbfounded that there was people in their own outrage, in their own fear, were acting like the way some of healthcare responded was new. And
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't understand that. And I would kind of get into it with some people and not trying to be confrontational. And we
No.
were, and in that moment, there was not enough information out there. And it was so polarized as the news is. Like
Yes.
it's hard. And they're giving us new mandates by the hour. It was so hard to keep up with it.
Yeah.
It's so, you know, and here we are working front line, our supplies were cut, like all this stuff was happening at once.
Terrifying.
Fear on fear on fear on fear on fear. But they're
Mm.
like, we have to prove our vaccines. And I'm like, okay, I've been nursing for 18 years. The first hospital I worked for took my blood to see what I had immunity to, and then I had to get boosters. How is this new?
Mm-hmm.
And every year we have to show that we've taken a flu shot or choose to be unpaid if we catch the flu or take Tamiflu, yada, 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 just
Yeah.
as like a small example.
Yeah.
Some of the reactions were extreme. Some of the mandates were just like, and you'd have nurses walking around like, oh, today we doing this, tomorrow we're doing that. Not like we couldn't even make sense of some of the direction,
Yeah.
like who's making the direction, where is it going? And it impacted me at a personal level because I had a grandmother that stroked and passed away, and we were under only, you know, two at that time. We were allowed two people to visit and to, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and then everything shut down, everything closed down. And my dad, who like he was my guy, and he ended up getting diagnosed with pancreatic cancer.
Oh,
I almost quit nursing from the experience of my dad. And then my mom ended up with the biggest I'm a spinal cord injury and brain injury nurse currently.
yeah.
My mom ended up with a spinal abscess bigger than any I've ever seen on our unit. And she almost died because of how like our systems are functioning right now. So even my father, when I'm taking him in, and I'm advocating so hard, so anyone listening, I would say like you do have to stick to your intuition and keep advocating and keep pushing. And the system's strapped, and sometimes the medicines can make you have reactions that aren't wanted, right? Like have those adverse reactions and maybe aren't for you. And if you can discuss with your health care providers to provide something that's like more suiting to you and your lifestyle, but we do stay siloed in a way that we don't combine all the things, like
Yeah.
even what we the food. I mean, there's one physician that backs me, but I've had a pretty intense conversation with the dietitian where I'm like, I do not approve of this food
Right.
we're putting in front of this person, or this protein drink has corn syrup in it, and I'm pretty sure no one's supposed to ingest that.
It's so fascinating, right? So like mid those times, I think it was 2022. The years all blend together. It was 22 or 23. I think it was 22. Um, my son's youngest appendix burst, and so we were forced in, which was like my worst nightmare at the time, right? Because we don't have the vaccine. We will not get it. And but I'm also taking precautions in all these different ways. Plus I knew I already had it. And so I do believe that we create everything through ourselves. And so I was also not surprised that I was ending up in a freaking hospital at this time because it's the last place on earth that I wanted to be. And I have huge love for people in healthcare. Like my sister-in-law is a nurse. We have tons of family, and I know that there are beautiful people in the system for the right reasons. I also know that their hands are tied often with how things are going. So here we are in the midst of this, and my son's appendix burst. And I actually had this thought a couple of weeks ago, which is really fascinating. Actually, it probably was on the exact anniversary. So it was 3 years ago, at least. Um, because he went in on my birthday, and we went to one hospital and they told us they did an ultrasound on him and said it needs to come out tonight. And they sent us to Children's, which I was like so blessed. We live by the
Mhm.
Children's Hospital of Alberta. Like we're so lucky. And amazing doctor, even though like we were like treated really interestingly, right? Because like we basically had to wear sirens on the top of our head that we are not vaccinated when you enter a hospital. Totally fair on one hand. One nurse couldn't stand us, but the doctor was really decent to us. And he wanted to send my son in an ambulance. And I said, I will take your advice here. Like, if you think he needs to go in the ambulance, I will absolutely do that. I think that's going to be quite traumatic for him and I both, if I'm honest. And so, if you're comfortable with it, I would rather just drive to the hospital from here. And he said, as long as you go straight there in the next 30 minutes, I am absolutely okay with that. They know you're coming, yada, yada, yada. And I was like, okay, thanks. Cause like, it freaks me out to go in an ambulance. I don't want to go in an ambulance personally. I'm not familiar with ambulances. I've never been in one, all of these
Yeah.
things. So we go, and they never took his appendix out that night. They didn't come. And part of me, because of many discussions had over the following couple of days, I do wonder if it came to light of who we were and decisions we'd made in our life of whether they decided to come in or not that night. Only because, as my kid is untouched by morphine the next day, they are continuing, like we're right outside the operating room, and they're continuing to tell me about how bad my choices are and how inappropriate and how I'm the reason the whole healthcare system has blown up and da 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 da. And he probably got this from COVID and yada yada, like all of these things. And I was like, can you just do the operation? We can have this conversation later when my kid's not screaming for the last 3 hours because his appendix burst. Like I knew it burst at 4:30 because his moans were like guttural and they started giving him morphine and he didn't stop. And it was just like so fascinating how we can come from these different places. And I knew it was fear, right? Like I knew
Yeah.
at the like I've been doing this work for a long time. And so I'd be like, just love, just love. But you know what? The shadow was needed at that time. I needed to stand in my place and be like, get that kid in that room right now. This is absolutely inappropriate. And I didn't say that because I didn't want to be, because like your kid's going under the knife from
Yeah.
like it was just such an awkward situation to be able to advocate for
Yeah.
self in. It was so weird, but so interesting because it was a hard time, but it was also like so much depth of self was learned through that of judgment of can I be okay with judgment? Can I be literally like I had to be escorted by a security guard in and out of that room. But back to the food, the whole reason we started here. I apologize for digressing. Um the food they gave him after surgery, I was just like, what? Please get that out of here and don't bring that in again. I will go, even though it was very uncomfortable to be like, I need security to escort me out of the building and back into the building, but I will go get our own food because we were about an hour from home at that point. So I couldn't run home and get him food. But I was like, this is not nourishing to the damn body. We need to work together, guys. Like, there's so
Yeah.
much more available for people if we could just work together instead of I'm right, you're wrong. And
Or
that's
money.
how that has
Like
been.
money's such a deciding,
Yeah.
um, like it all comes down to the budget and what fits the budget. And this, it's not like pure poison. Like, I'm not slandering it that way, but there are better options.
Yeah.
You know, and even brands of supplements and the pharmaceuticals they choose. And for me, like, learning to navigate the healthcare system, I cannot imagine for anyone else that isn't within it. Because I was able to advocate for my dad and get him exactly what he needed when he needed it because I knew how to advocate. And our system is so burdened,
Yes.
so backlogged that people are getting help past sometimes recovery.
Yeah.
And if we could have gotten you like that surgery in a little bit sooner, maybe you wouldn't have ended up actually paralyzed because we couldn't have, and we're trying all these small little things and sending people away and work on this, work on that. My father was sick and we took him to emerge and they stood in their hazmat suits for anyone that's not in
Yeah.
healthcare
Yeah.
and swabbed him for COVID and sent him away. Blood work, urine tests, like none of that even explored. It was just like, obviously, everybody in the world only has COVID.
Yeah.
So I was able to call the family doctor and say, look, I worked with him. I knew something was coming big.
Mm-hmm.
Quite frankly, I don't get the flu shot every year.
Mm-hmm.
And going into the end of 2020, I was a community nurse.
Mm-hmm.
And I clearly, driving out through the country, received a message that the flu is going to be wicked this year.
Mm-hmm.
I got the flu shot actually because I was like, oh, I'll okay, noted.
Yep.
And I ended up by the February having to leave community,
Mm-hmm.
whole different, so many factors in there. And then after that, the lockdowns came and I wouldn't have been able to work two jobs, and all the things unraveled. But because of being able to move differently with physicians and different allied health in the community, and my family doctor knowing us so well, I called him, explained, took my dad to their clinic. And when he gave his urine sample, it literally looked like Coca-Cola,
Mm.
which, instantly I'm like, your liver's shut. So I thought you were getting a little yellow. And now I know I'm not like,
Yeah.
being a hypochondriac about it.
Yes. Yes.
And then he called and said, we think you have pancreatic cancer. And the ball kept rolling. And certain diagnoses, I think we have such limited ability. Like Western medicine, there is such a place for it.
Absolutely.
My
Absolutely. I'm so grateful my son's appendix was able to be taken out like that. Like
Yes,
two little tiny incisions. Amazing. Mind blowing. So
yes.
cool.
My son was born with kidney cancer, and at 7 weeks old, his only chance of survival was an operation that I was told he probably won't live, you know. And fast forward to him being 19 years old and completely healthy.
Yeah.
And there are moments in my dad's care that were wonderful. And
Yes.
there were moments that I had to be by his side, and he actually demanded me to be there with him because he felt so unsafe. He
Yeah.
didn't understand the rules, the restrictions, and things didn't move quickly.
Mhm.
Like we're so backlogged, things really aren't moving quickly.
Yeah.
And although I may be a shadow walker, there are light workers everywhere. There's
Agreed.
even light workers making the vaccines.
Yep. 100 I 100% agree. So I hope nobody took this as like a bashing in any of that way, but I
No.
love this conversation because lots of times people will assume that about me when they know some of the choices we've made. And I'm like, how dare you? I think there's such beauty and
Yeah.
love. And I am so grateful for people that choose that line. There's going to be dark in that as well. There's going to be every aspect of every system of life is going to have the duality.
Yes. And we're in such a weird crunch of the boomers left nursing
Mhm,
rapid fire.
mhm.
We started pushing more in. There was this big gap in knowledge gone.
Experience too, do you think? Like, because I think nurses that come out of school, like any education, you come out of
Mhm.
school and you have this education and you're smart. It's kind of like that integration piece we were talking about to full circle,
Yeah.
right? Because there's things you can learn in a textbook that I can learn in a book, but that I can't fully understand until I've walked those shoes.
Yes. And I guess that's what I meant by the knowledge gap.
Yes, yes,
Because even some of the best nurses that have taught me so much weren't university trained the way they are now, the way
yes,
I am, the way I upgraded my education to be now university trained.
yes.
Right. And then it left us middle ones where I'm now a senior and I'm outnumbered by um new hires I don't know how to say it with I don't want to be insulting or um like new nurses, like
Just, yeah,
fresh
fresh.
grad.
It's just a new, fresh. I don't think that's meant to be insulting in any way.
It's fresh. I guess I hesitated because at work when I'm because I am a mouthpiece at work, I advocate so strong. I push back on so many things, but with rationale
Yep.
and politely and in like a professional way. Like, here's my rationale. This is what I understand. Help me get to the place where we're at. And I had said I forget, maybe I've just removed it out of my mind, how I refer to like the newer hires, the young new graduates. My manager was like corrected the word I chose.
Yeah.
He, I was like, so that's why I was like, sorting.
It's tricky, but I look at it like somebody who just had their first baby, even if that baby's two, and I've had three of them, and my youngest is
Yes,
five. I have
yes,
walked a few miles. I have learned a few things. I have learned that not every situation is textbook friendly. So even what the textbook says can't always be the right
yes,
answer.
yes. So when I'm with my father and I'm explaining, walking in like, whoa,
Yeah.
something happened. There is, and I'm, uh, in this one interaction, this very young male nurse was hearing me, but like through in and out, looked at his watch. Yep, yep, yep. He's sleeping. I'm like, he is not sleeping. There is a difference between someone turning unconscious and
Mhm.
sleep. And he just blew me off. I'm a nurse. I
Mhm.
understood the pressures, there's
Mhm.
call bells everywhere. I know what you have to work with.
Understaffed, so understaffed. Like I
I
get it.
understand all of it, but he had a student. So when he left, I grabbed her and was like, listen, please, you see me as a family member. You are not appreciating the knowledge I have.
Mhm.
This is like, there is something wrong, and these are the steps I need you to take. I didn't wait too long, anyways. I called the surgeon myself,
Good.
right? And
Yeah.
got him in the care. And I'm telling the nurse came back in. I'm like, he's going for a CT. Oh, why? Da, da, da. Then the stretcher rolls in, and they said, oh, he has to go to an urgent CT. But, we found out he had a second stroke.
Mm.
And some of it's just the way some things were managed. Like it just, when we're strapped, when you cut nurses, when you cut front line,
Yeah.
you're cutting minutes of patient care. Everything comes down to priority, what's an urgent right now. If you're breathing, if you're,
Yep. Totally.
I've I've walked in, and even, you're outnumbered by the patients. So if I've walked in, my dad would tell me, someone has to be here by 7 a.m. And he was getting frustrated, so he wasn't always nice, and I've never seen my dad like that either.
Mhm.
So we would come and feed him, and because I also understand the workload,
Yeah.
and many people don't understand that until they're in it.
Mhm.
And then they're just becoming aware and angry and frustrated. And you're taking it out on the individual standing beside your loved one,
Yeah.
not realizing the constraints we're working under,
Yeah.
not realizing I just argued with my manager over this,
Yes.
challenge that. I agree with you, but can't,
Oh,
like
that
this,
just gave me full goosebumps.
but can't really say certain things, like, because I can't tell you the details of everything on the unit. Like I work in the unit lead role, like a charge nurse role. I'm managing bed flow. I have to move patients to different rooms, but I can't always tell you why, because I can't divulge that this person needs something more,
Yeah.
because I can't talk about anyone else's health needs. So when I'm showing up as a family member, like I get, like, I am the person you can say all of that to, and
Yeah.
I can see clearly. That is also the gift of the dark.
Yes.
Because for me, I used to think I was confused all the time
Mhm.
because I'm standing, sitting, being with somebody. I think that's what makes me a good nurse,
Mm.
because the words coming out of your mouth aren't matching the energetic frequency I'm getting.
Full goosies. Yeah.
So I'm like, you're saying this, and I will now to pay, like, I can walk into a room, a patient's never seen me before, and I feel you. And I can say, like, why are you so anxious right now? Or however I phrase it. I always seem to know how to phrase it for that person.
Yeah.
And then it just like full conversation, dive in. And other nurses are like, how did you do that? It's part of my gift,
Yeah.
right? So even in the healthcare, when I'm trying to navigate for my family, I'm like, oh, I can feel that that's not really right.
Yes.
And
It's
it's
so
so
true. And it kind of goes back to the people that are new to those positions fresh out of school, in that they don't have, they're like, and this is any profession that, like, I'm not just picking on nurses by any means. I think it's any profession that's new in that way, psychologists, social work, like all of these professions. And I have so much compassion for it. Like, you just have fawn legs. You just are fresh out of that. And so you want to, if you don't have a deep sense of self-trust, and I think that's what you have is the difference when you walk into those situations or those rooms, then you don't trust what's coming to you to come out of your mouth. You're literally opening all the filing cabinets of what textbook was that in. You're not even conscious of it, of how I should handle this. Instead, I picture you as like this clear vessel, so to speak. You still have all of those filing cabinets of all of that information, but you have hundreds more, and a channel to something higher than you, bigger than you. And so you don't press it away that that's not logical, so I'm not going to do that. The way you say something, I think it is such a difference. And I have quite a few like quite a few clients that have been nurses, and I just, it's so fascinating. I'm like, can you just like all move to the same hospital? And if I ever need hospital care, I really want to go there because it brought me back. And I'm so grateful for it because it brought me back to such deep love and feeling. It's similar to teachers to me. Like, I think people go into these lines of work for a reason. And I have full goosebumps again of like, they have this love and they have this well intention, but it's about finding their truth and being able to come that to come out of their lips, and thinking of all the red tape and how they can be slapped, their hand slapped constantly. I've had psychologists as clients and therapists as clients that, like, they're just not allowed to say certain things, but they know them to be truth within their core. And
yes.
it's so frustrating. And I do get excited. I do think it's going to take a couple decades for sure for that to shift, differently. But I do think there is going to be a bigger shift in that there's going to be
Yes.
different
It's very
forms.
exciting. Yeah.
Yeah, it makes me really excited. I think there will still be like the traditional Western medicine and like the very traditional styled schools and
Mhm.
systems in that way. But I think there's just going to be a lot more option for different people to do different things. I kind of get the visual when I think about it of like, there's lots of different churches and temples and
Mhm.
religions out
Mhm.
there. And do I agree with all of them? Absolutely not. Can I see love in all of them and goodness in all of them? Yes. And so is it great that there's so many different available? Yes.
Mhm.
I love that. I hope there's 20 different styles of
Mhm.
medicine to drop into when something happens within your body. Similarly with education, I hope there's that too. Do I think learning is wrong? No. And sometimes it's funny because when we started unschooling, some people would drop into that of like, oh, so like you just don't like teachers? Actually, my best friend's a teacher. Actually, my stepdad's a teacher. I have so much respect for what they do every single day. These two things have nothing to do with each other, actually. I get
Yeah.
really excited for this part, right? And so I think it's not always easy to be. Now I get to look at it like I'm giving somebody else permission on the other side to drop into their truth. They don't have to have my truth. But like unschooling is a perfect example. When we first started doing it, I think it was the first summer, we started in like beginning of May with our two youngest. We let our kids pick when they were coming home. And there was a parent that asked me, like a close friend parent that asked me something about, well, they have to learn something to do with math. And I was like, and do they? And inside, I was like instantly pissed of like, why do you think kids need to know that? And then I was like, oh, Jen, you can't talk about this yet. You still have some healing to do around this. So then I just didn't have those conversations. I didn't talk about it on social media. I didn't talk about it with friends. If somebody
Yeah.
approached me, I would bring it, but I never let myself bring it up until I felt like I could come at it from a loving space of like, you're not making me wrong by my decision. I'm not making you wrong by your decision. And as soon as I feel like I'm making somebody wrong by their decision, I know I got some work to do.
Yeah. And well, even for me, like I said, when, well, even in the summer, if we were to talk about this, I was ready to leave the profession. I was just so disgusted, I guess, in moral distress, ethical dilemmas that they talk about, but the schools aren't, they're touching on self-care, but and we learn how to be reflective,
Hmm.
but those whole that whole skill set, that whole the different mindsets aren't taught. And I mean, honestly, if they're teach it again, that then everyone probably in school would be like, "Oh my God, that'd be another year of school." Like it's a lot.
Yes.
Like, how do we slowly build it all in?
Yeah.
And then I became, in the beginning of the pandemic, there I was already searching for something more. Became a holistic nurse coach. So now I show up to work as a holistic nurse coach. So when I'm working with somebody with anxiety, I'm going to give you all the tools, the body work tools, the breathing tools. And I will also use Western medicine. And if we need pharmaceuticals, we'll get there, but we have to work on the tools and the coping and bringing. And that's what I see when I say holistic, bringing that all in, and why I continue to mentor and be a preceptor. Because as I'm working one on one with all these students, I'm trying to teach, like, there is this way, like, bring this back in, and the research is there. So I'm not like speaking hoodoo.
Yes. Yes. Like
And
you would have been in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, even, you know?
yes, and I'm
Yeah.
like, it's there. We even had a neuropsychologist that taught mindfulness and breath work and like little tools and techniques. And I just feel like, now that the research is there, I get so excited when the energetic body and that whole spiritual realm is being brought in, and what we know deep in our bones, that deep remembering,
Yeah.
is actually being proven true by science.
I love it too. I think I really dove into that the last few years too, where like neuroscience has been pretty fascinating to me for probably like
Mm.
8, 10 years, but like just such a deeper understanding over the last few years around it. And then I really dove into there's a book called Proof of Heaven, and I can't remember what type of surgeon he was, but he went into a coma. I don't know if you've read it. It's pretty fascinating read because he has such a deep medical background of
Mhm.
knowledge, but here he is in this coma for 2 weeks and he knows he's not in his body. And so he came out of it and then didn't go back to work right away, just wrote and tried to recollect what happened during this coma to be able to bring in the science background of it. And, there's pieces that just aren't logical that he can't explain. But I'm just so grateful for different doctors. Like, I've read so many books by doctors over the last few years because I think that's how we bridge it. It's
Yeah.
these really highly respected men like him, which I can't. Proof of Heaven is the book. I know that's the book. I am blanking on his name. But he was highly accredited in his field. He was very like respected, so many papers, like all of these things. And so yeah, some people were like, "Woo, you're a little woo woo or whatever." But you can't dismiss that when somebody that comes from, because he would have said, "I don't believe in this. I don't think that's a thing," before he went into this coma, right?
Yeah.
And so it's so it brings me personally so much hope of how we can really bridge all of these things together. And just I think it comes back to that love over fear, which is so simple and so cheesy in some ways, but like when we're really coming from our truth, and even with the dark, like that's still love. Fear, I think, is sometimes the light workers, quote unquote, of like trying to press that light, and I'm like, that's still a fear-based frequency that's coming in
Yeah.
there. So it's not actually as light as you would like it to believe it to be true, because there's
Yeah.
a repressing that's happening there. Whereas if we just accept the dark, we don't have fear of it the same way.
Yeah, we can move in it differently. And there's no bypassing that spiritual bypassing.
Yeah.
Like we're going to pretend it's not there and just turn on the flashlight and here we go. And I remind myself, like I believe in preventative medicine. I believe like how you live your life is your health.
Yeah.
And like how we were talking on being this shadow worker, reading the paragraph, integrating, absorbing, it influences your life. It influences your beliefs, how your body responds to all of that too. And that's part of your health, right? So
Huge.
even when I'm in a place where I actually love my job again. And nothing
Makes
else,
me so happy.
like nothing else has changed. The
Yeah.
issue is that is we're needing to change healthcare in a rapid way, and we're just all humans showing up trying to do our best, and there's a lot of good happening, right?
Yes.
Like I do want everyone to understand, like I still,
I believe so too.
you
Absolutely.
know, but and I
Absolutely.
remind myself there at the end of the day there are two emotions, fear or love, and I need to sit with it sometimes because I, like you were saying, is this actually love?
Yeah.
Or am I really in fear? And the way we act in fear is not how we approach anything in love. I think of like a trapped animal, a dog in a cage, or its paw caught in
Yep.
those, those, what do you call them? The little trap
Yep.
thing.
Yep. That thing.
And or your pet
Yeah.
when you walk in and cuddling on your lap. Like behavior is so different, but that could be the same animal in both of those circumstances.
Absolutely. I feel really called to share this, and I have not got a thumbs down from the universe. So we're going to go ahead with this one, even though it's a little bit of a deeper topic as well. I live in the West. Meg lives in the East. So I feel like it's probably different in this way. The West has a really hard time with a lot of politicians in the East. And so it's redonkulous the amount of flags and banners and it's everywhere. All of these things. And it's just constant hate spewing. And it's interesting to me because in some hands I'm like, I don't agree or I don't see why decisions are made the way they're made. I'm
Mm-hmm.
also not a politician. I also don't have all the facts and never will I, nor do I want to. And there
Yeah.
was this really interesting time because we have these like, if you're in the West, you know exactly what I'm talking about. There's these specific flags that fly, we're flying everywhere, saying F blank CK Trudeau. And they're everywhere. He touched down in Alberta during that time, and I was just like, what are you doing? Like, are you literally trying to aggravate the whole province? Like, you're not super loved here, so I don't know why you would come here. Um, at this point, at that time in everything. Anyway, I was sitting with self really deeply. And it was probably shortly after he had touched down because I was like, I feel like you're pressing on a sore for somebody, and I don't see what purpose that helped in any capacity because then everybody was just outraged that he would fly here, that like that he would environmental blah 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 climate change, like all of these different things were flying around. And even as somebody who does not watch the news, I was seeing it everywhere. But I was really sitting with self, and I could see him so vividly as a little boy and how like he truly was trying to help, is trying to help, thinks he's doing well, thinks he's doing it for the greater good. And I feel like that happens the same in all political ways. I do think, for just like we were saying with nurses, doctors, teachers, I think they go in, the majority go into it with the right intent of like, I'm going to help my country, I'm going to serve the world, I'm going to help my county, I'm going to, I think there is a lot of money beliefs out there that turn it into that it's all about money and greed. And I think there is that dark side. Absolutely. But I also don't think they see it that way. And so are they actually wrong? No, they're not actually wrong. Am I wrong? No, I'm not. Like nobody's wrong here. And if nobody was actually wrong here, how much further ahead could we get into helping people if we weren't fighting all of these fires about who's right and wrong all the time? Like, where is that in the
Mhm.
world? And how would that help us more than just like constantly battling of you're right, or you're wrong, I'm right, my way is the right way. Like we waste so much bloody energy doing that.
Yeah, you know what's funny? I think you said that for me.
Oh, you're welcome.
I mean, I'm sure there's many others out there. But as you were saying that, I have a developmentally disabled brother. That was hard to say.
Hmm.
And we're just having issues with the services taking care of him. And they speak to us. So he's my adoptive brother. And
Okay.
I was shocked when that seemed to make a difference for a service because
Exactly.
they would literally say, but you're not blood. But he's been in my life since he was 10 months old. He doesn't know anyone but me and our sisters,
Totally. Yeah.
and I even signed my name on his adoption paper because we did it as a family.
Oh my gosh,
He
that's so cool.
he is my brother. What
Yeah.
are you saying?
Yeah.
And the way they speak to us is infuriating.
Hmm.
And there's that shadow where and I'm like, I'm feeling and hearing different things and all these, but they do talk to us like, or how we were feeling
Hmm.
was that they knew better.
Hmm.
They know his needs better. And even though we were given space at the table, we were then told how it was wrong and how we should do it this way.
Hmm.
So I think you said that because we're at a stalemate right now where we've made a compromise
Hmm.
as we together find a solution.
Well, that's the thing is the working together, right? And I have so much compassion and love, and I'm sending so much love for your whole family in this situation. But similarly, and I'm so glad, I joke about in my family, I don't like publicly post this because it would probably send weird algorithms, but like I'm so grateful for the work I did with Trudeau because it helped me in so many different areas. So like my nana, who's the 900th degree situation of dementia now, who hasn't been able to speak a
Yeah.
word in a few years. There's just been a lot. It's hard to have a loved one in that situation that literally can't tell you what's going on in their life ever, right? And so there's so much there. And so then, trying to stay on top of it. And then you go through like her daughter's dynamics of the three of them, and everybody wants to care for her and da da da. And there's all these things. And there was talk of suing one of the homes that she was in because we feel she was maybe not treated as well as we would like her to have been treated. And
Yeah.
I just remember saying, and it's, I'm not a daughter, I'm just a granddaughter, so I don't get to make any of those decisions, which was a huge thing in itself because my nana has been my second mom. I was always the fourth daughter. My mom had me at 17. Like, I'm just in there. My aunt was only 15 years old. And, like it's been a different dynamic for sure. And so there was a lot of growth that was asked from me in that time of being able to step back and accept things I cannot control, and what is worth conflict and what isn't worth conflict. And so, do you have a lawsuit there? Probably. Is that within your morals that you want to spend that energy for the next few years reliving that over and over? Or do we just want a peaceful place for my Nana to be looked after? We just want a peaceful resolution for my Nana to feel like she's looked after, right? Like, and I can't control any of that. I don't live near her. I can't go see her daily. I can't even go see her monthly. Like she lives very far away from me. So,
Yeah.
it, there's just so many layers to that. But
Yeah.
ultimately having to come from, even though, do I think everybody that comes in contact with her is there because they really care about my Nana? No, they don't have an emotion. They've never heard her speak a word. How could they have an emotional relationship with her, right? But do I have to sit with and choose to believe that everybody that comes into her wing, her house, they call it, um, is going to treat her well and with the respect she would have treated them. That's what I wrap her damn room in, that everybody feels seen that comes into that room to help her in whatever way they need to, right? Like it's just, it's so hard when we have so little control. And when we're like advocators, Meg, when we're like people that are like, I don't accept that just because that's the rules doesn't mean I accept that. It makes it even harder for us because we see the wrongs and we see the dark and we see the,
Yeah.
I walk into that building and I see the people that are just there for a paycheck and I can't judge that because they need to put food on their table too. But
Yeah.
like there's just so it's complex when you have somebody that needs care like that that we can't control. And then of course there's the guilt thing because I wanted to move to her to Alberta about 7 years ago and I went through like a year of grief around that after she stopped talking because why move her and make her uncomfortable at that point, right? Because everything progresses the more they move and she already had to have 3 moves because she was progressing so quickly. But why didn't I fight harder?
Yeah.
Why didn't I make them move her here? I could have
Mhm.
fought them. I'm a good fighter. I'm really good fighter.
I'm like armored up. I'm ready for battle. I can do this. And
Totally.
the shadow walkers, we can stay in that dark for a long time.
Yep, we can. But I don't know about you. And let's wrap it here just because I feel like I could talk for hours, but you need to go back to celebrating your beautiful birthday. Um, in that dark, I can live in that, but it doesn't feel, I don't feel hatred in there. I don't feel anger
Never,
in that dark. So there
never.
is a difference there. There can be sadness, there can even be some despair. Um, Pockets of anger, totally healthy. I'm not saying never feel angry. I think that is part of our soul's evolution for people that didn't allow anger to be an emotion they felt. For me, anyway, this has been my journey of like, there were seasons of my life I never allowed myself to feel angry. And that was I had to reparent myself there of like, anger is an emotion. You're allowed to feel it. You're not wrong or bad
Mhm.
for feeling that, but don't
Yeah.
live there. It doesn't stay with me for very long, you know, an
Yeah.
hour
Well,
max.
anger is the tip of the iceberg, right? So if you're
Yeah,
feeling anger, please feel it, but know that there's actually deeper,
keep going.
maybe slightly heavier emotions, despair,
Yes.
that whole like disappointment. Oh God, disappointment's hard to sit in. Embarrassment,
Shame.
shame.
Shame. Oh, shame was a big one for me. Woo!
Yeah.
So much. I feel like we could talk about that for hours too. But how do people find you on the social medias?
So Instagram, I'm nurse coach Megan. You can
MEGH.
A-N.
Perfect.
MEGAN.
AN. No
Yeah.
H.
No,
Okay.
wait. So
Perfect.
nurse coach Megan. But thank you. We could just talk for hours. I
I
love it.
love it. It's so good. I love it so much. You go have the most beautiful day. Thank you guys for tuning into this conversation. I know we talked about a lot of things there. So
Yeah.
go drink a glass of water, go stare at a tree, go touch a tree, go put your feet in whatever you need to put your feet in because
Mhm.
we stirred the pot on a lot of things there. And it would be odd if you didn't have some visceral reaction to that. Like we literally like poked so many different areas of life there.
I know. And I think I felt a little bit of hesitation because
Yeah,
if I'm going to poke an area, I kind of want to see the person in front of me so I can embrace you and help you work through it. So, like Jen said,
100%.
reach out to us because we are here.
100%. And I think that's why I got that hands down from the universe on that one, because that was like such a big topic. Like I don't like to just like throw these things out. And that's where I don't know about you, but I find it hard to talk about these things on social media sometimes because context matters so much. And
Yeah.
how am I supposed to get that out in 90 seconds, 2 minutes? In words, like in this little paragraph, like I just can't possibly touch on the context of that. There's so many different things. I did a grief post last week around like waiting for an apology I knew I would never get. And so I've decided like over the years got a little bit more, it's not poetic, but in my mind it's a little bit more like I don't make it try to flow as perfectly as I would have like this is improper grammar
Mhm.
here and there. But it's just so hard to give a full picture of something that you're thinking about. But then you know what? Like I think that's part of the wounding as well of like not being understood. And so then it's like, okay, Jen, you got to just put these things out. And it's okay if you're misunderstood. You're not going to be for everybody.
Mhm. Just let it land. Someone
Yeah.
out there needs it.
Yeah.
We need your depth.
And sometimes it's like I anybody who's been a texting friend with me will know that like I'll just randomly like be like "Bloop," like something super deep, totally random, totally out of left field, and then I'll be like, "Oh, good morning." Or good afternoon. How are you? We haven't talked in 2 months, but like, here's my really deep thought for you today.
Like this morning, I know we're talking anyways, but here, look at this.
That's how I roll. That like when people say like good morning, how are you? Like como se va? Like all of these things, I'm just like, yeah, let's get to the good stuff. Like I literally hear that song in my head of skip to the good stuff or whatever that song is because I'm like, those, we don't need to waste our time with those little smally nicey things. Like it's fine. Like just get it.
Yeah.
So if you're ever messaging me on Instagram, don't be like, how are you? Like that's nice, that's fine. But like you want to tell me some deep shit right off the hop, I am in. I am there for it.
Your name into the deep.
Is
Just
intentional.
get in there, right in there.
Yes. Because I used to say that all the time. Okay, like no more. Like I want to talk about the deep. I want to talk about the deep stuff. And then
Mhm.
sometimes it'll feel a little superficial over there. And I'm like, hey, wait a minute. And like literally, like the podcast, unfiltered into the deep. I don't want to filter and edit and take all of these things out. Of, like I shouldn't share this or I shouldn't talk about that. And it's not how I roll. I figure whatever comes out of us is meant to for some reason. Like it's truly my
My,
deepest belief.
yeah.
So, okay. Thank you for spending time today, guys. Big,
Thank
big
you.
love to you all. And we look forward to hearing from you.
Yes.